All right, Chapter 9. A tall woman stepped into the school. She wore a green felt hat and a black suit, the skirt reaching below her knees. A large purse dangled from one hand. Behind her, the children crowded into the room. Ida instantly recognized the woman as Miss Sedgwick from the county education office. She lived in Steamboat Springs, where the high school was, 20 miles down the valley. From time to time, Miss Sedgwick came to their school to do inspections, and it was she who gave the exit exams. Ida wondered if the woman would recognize her. As she looked at Miss Sedgwick, Ida suddenly became aware of how shabby she must look in her simple polka dot dress made over from one of her mother's. And the others looked just as ragged. Felix in baggy trousers, Tom, his shirt torn at the elbow, Herbert in old overalls, ripped shirt, no shoes on his feet. The other children no better. She remembered her ma saying how poor the valley was. For a moment, the children and the woman just scrutinized one another. Scrutinized. That's a vocabulary. Something like looking closely. Then she turned to Ida, whose heart was pounding. My name, the woman said, extending a white gloved hand, is Miss Sedgwick, from the Root County Education Office. Where's Miss Fletcher? She's gone, Ida managed to say. Gone? For the day? For good. Oh? Her mother, back in Iowa, got ill, Natasha said. I'm sorry to hear that, said Miss Sedgwick. When was this? A couple of weeks ago, Ida said. I see. And who are you? Miss Bitson is our new teacher, Mary called out. I see. Well, your school board was very fortunate to have found you so quickly. Miss Bitson, and I'm sorry. Your school board was very fortunate to find you so quickly, Miss Bitson, and to secure your services. I'm very pleased to meet you. Thank you, ma'am, Ida replied. No doubt the board will be forwarding your credentials to the county office. Credentials? Uh-oh, that's like a license, proof of who you are, that you're supposed to be teaching. Miss Sedgwick paused, a look of puzzlement on her face. Have we met before? Not really, said Ida. Well, it'll be me, come June, who examines your 8th grade level students for their exit diploma. How many will there be? I'm in 8th grade, miss, Tom said quickly. Excellent, said Miss Sedgwick. Your name? Tom Cole. Miss Sedgwick took out a pencil and notebook from her purse and wrote down Tom's name. Tom, you'll need to study hard. It's a challenging examination. She turned back to Ida. Miss Bitson, is this your first teaching appointment? Yes, ma'am. I confess you seem very young, Miss Sedgwick said with a little laugh, but I'm afraid that only tells you how my own years are getting on. Yes, ma'am. Miss Sedgwick held up her notebook. Might you tell me your full name? Ida Bitson. There was a moment of nervous silence as Miss Sedgwick wrote the name in her book. Well, now, she said, looking about, everything looks in perfect order. I'll not interrupt further. Miss Bitson, I'm very glad to make your acquaintance. Children, mind your teacher. Young man, she said to Tom, I'll see you in a few weeks. With a wave, she walked out of the room. From the doorway, Ida watched Miss Sedgwick move toward her car. The other children looked on silently. Ida, Tom said softly behind her back, if that lady doesn't know you need to take the test, she won't give it to you in June. The moment Tom spoke, Ida knew he was right. Miss Sedgwick, Ida called. The woman paused and looked back. I need to speak to you, Ida cried. Yes, Miss Bitson, the woman said as Ida approached. The other children followed. Miss Sedgwick, Ida said breathlessly, I'm not really a teacher. I beg your pardon? I'm only in 8th grade, Ida rushed on. When Miss Fletcher left, the school board decided to close down the school till next fall term because they said there wasn't enough time to get a new teacher. Close down the school? Yes, ma'am, but we all, Ida gestured to the others, wanted to go on, especially Tom and me, so we can take our exams and go to the high school in Steamboat. We voted, ma'am. It was unanimous to have me as teacher. Miss Sedgwick studied the faces looking up at her. Miss Bitson, exactly how old are you? 14, ma'am. I see. And you said you are in 8th grade? Yes, ma'am. There was a long moment of silence. Then Felix blurted out, She's my sister, but she's really smart. Pretty tough, too, Herbert put in. And she's a really good teacher, Natasha added. She knows everything to do. I'm sure Miss Bitson has every one of these qualities, Miss Sedgwick said pensively. Pensively, vocabulary word, it has to do with thinking. But I need to understand something. While you and your classmates have gone on with the school, and with you as teacher, Miss Bitson, I trust you've informed the local school board what you are doing. No one spoke. All eyes were on Ida. No, ma'am, Ida said very quietly. Ah, but what about your parents? Miss Sedgwick said, addressing the group. Have you informed them about what you are doing? Once more silence followed Miss Sedgwick's question. My parents know I'm teaching, Ida said at last. No one else spoke. Well, the woman exclaimed, I've been with the county for 15 years, and I've never heard anything quite like this. It's most unusual. I hope to be a real teacher someday, Ida said hurriedly. But to do that, I have to get to high school first. Plus a year at the State Normal College in Greeley, I must add, Miss Sedgwick said rather primly. So this, Ida went on, was the only way we, Tom Cole and me, could think to keep the school going. She paused, then asked, can we keep doing it and take the test? Miss Bitson, Miss Sedgwick said, no longer smiling, I think it's wonderful that you, she paused, but school boards act independently. My office has the duty to oversee teacher certification, curriculum, and exit exams. So I'll have to look into this, she said with sudden abruptness. You'll hear from me shortly. With that, Miss Sedgwick, without another word, got into her car and drove off. Oh, you're gonna get into trouble now, Herbert said. What do you think she'll do? Tom asked Ida. Don't know, Ida said. Has anyone, besides me, told the parents that I'm the new teacher? No one admitted to it. Best hold your tongues. Now, recess is a long time over, Ida announced, and headed back inside. For what was left of the afternoon, the mood was anxious. As Ida was getting into the car to head home, Tom went up to the front. He bent over to start cranking, but then stood up. What do you think is going to happen? He asked. Don't know. I think you're doing a good job, he told her. Thank you, she said. But Tom, I don't think that'll have anything to do with it. It should, he said. As Ida drove off with Felix at the pedals, she recalled the places they had heard on the radio. Salt Lake City, Albany, Spokane, Chicago. In one day, the world had become so big. But Elk Valley had never seemed so isolated. That's a vocabulary word. It's like off by itself, apart from other things.